Today we're diving into the world of career revolution.
But I started off on my journey working in management for healthcare organizations.
How would you explain to them what networking is and how can it be beneficial for you?
Out my career, always tried to maintain the connections I've made.
Your network will always be one of your greatest assets. Hi, this is Kripa Anand, and welcome to the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast, where we explore the stories, strategies, and innovations shaping the Canadian business landscape. Today, we're diving into the world of career revolution, networking, and the power of collaboration in business success. According to Statistics Canada, over 37% of entrepreneurs in Canada, a study by the Business Development Bank of Canada, that is the BDC, found that 75% of small business success is directly tied to strong networking and relationships, underscoring the critical role connections play in professional growth. Joining us today is Beena Tharakan, founder of Crosspoly Solutions. This management advisory firm supports government, public sector entities, and social enterprises in developing strategies that drive meaningful social impact. Beena's journey into entrepreneurship wasn't a conventional one. Her career pivots, strong network, and commitment to teamwork have shaped her success, and today she's here to share those insights with us. Welcome to the podcast, Beena. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Definitely, it's our pleasure, and I'm really excited about the conversation that we're going to have today because a lot of people they don't stick to one career in their lifetime, right? All of us know
Mhm.
someone or the other. Now, let's start the conversation by a little warm up.
Mhm.
Right, your journey, first of all, it's truly inspiring, I must say. Many professionals and entrepreneurs find themselves at crossroads in their careers, uncertain about taking the next steps. Now, in Canada, as I mentioned, nearly 40% of professionals change careers at least twice in their lifetime, right? Highlighting how career revolution is becoming the norm rather than the exception. Now, today we're going to explore your unexpected career journey, the key pivots that you've made, and the valuable lessons you've learned along the way. So, let's start by talking about your path. So,
Mhm.
Beena, what were some of the major career shifts that, led you to where you are today?
Yeah, so maybe I should start off by saying I'm a management consultant, and I know a lot of people ask, "Well, what is that?" And it is what it sounds like. I provide management advisory services to various organizations,
Mhm.
largely, as you mentioned, in the public sector and not-for-profit sectors. But I started off on my journey working in management for healthcare organizations. I took my MBA in health services management,
Mhm.
and it was actually a co-op program at McMaster University
Wow.
here. In my co-op terms,
Mhm.
I was assigned projects. I worked for one of the major hospitals here in Toronto, and I was assigned a project, and I really liked the project because it was a lot of problem solving, a lot of
Mhm.
meeting with folks, understanding where there's issues, challenges, and then I got to take all that information and problem solve and solution and come up with recommendations for the senior management team. So at that time, which is going back over 20 years ago now, my mentor kind of debriefed with me on the project. The senior management team really appreciated the work that I did. She appreciated the work I did. And she was asking me a lot of questions of what I liked, what I didn't like. I was expecting her to give me feedback, but
Mhm.
she was more curious about why I really, put in a lot of effort. I really enjoyed myself during the
Right.
project. She was trying to figure out what was the aptitude there,
Right.
what was the affinity for me. And she actually said, "Well, have you ever considered a career in consulting?" And my response was, "I don't know what that is."
Right.
And 20 years later, that's all my career has been.
Wow.
So she actually came from a management consulting background, working for one of the large firms.
Mhm.
Um, Through establishing a network with her, I always kept in touch, always kept me apprised of opportunities potentially that would hire someone who's probably starting out in their career at that time.
Mhm.
And she advised me to take, maybe internal consulting roles if I didn't land something with the firms right away. And I did that. And but about a year and a half after I graduated, I ended up in a national health consulting practice
Mhm.
and went on to another firm, and then another firm 8 years after that. So in total, worked at various firms for over 15 years. And just 6 years ago, had branched off from the firms and started off my own business.
Wow.
One being Crosspoly Solutions, and another shortly after that being a mission-driven consulting firm called The Sector, which I launched with a business partner that specifically focused on supporting social enterprises.
Great. That was such an inspiring story, I'd
Mhm.
say. Now, shifting careers, it often requires courage and adaptability, both of which you have, right? Now, it also begs the question, what continues to inspire and drive you forward? If I may ask, what fuels your passion for the work that you do today, Beena?
So, working in the public sector, particularly in areas of healthcare, education, social services, these are areas, as we can open up any newspaper, turn on any news channel,
Right.
and we're going to hear about the issues and challenges being faced and how much our society depends on these systems.
Mhm.
So, for me, even if it's just a little bit in terms of investigating where are areas that these systems can be improved,
Right.
that really and I can make an impact to society and people, that really drives me. And
Hmm.
utilizing my skill set and experience in a way that's helpful is also a driver. I like, as I mentioned before, the problem solving aspects.
Right.
I like not always, having that predictability, but kind of going
Going
through
with the
more of a
flow. Right.
discovery, and then
Mhm.
you're kind of part of that solution is definitely drivers for me. Hmm.
Wow, that was very well articulated, I must say.
Hmm.
Career success isn't always about following a straight path. It's
Hmm.
about adapting and embracing opportunities as they come. Now, in your case, you found an angel of a guidance in your life and you
Hmm.
followed that, and it turned out so well for you. Your career journey is unique, and success doesn't come from following a pre planned path. It comes from being adaptable, open to new opportunities, and bold enough to leap when the right moment comes. The most significant breakthroughs often come from unexpected detours. Now, let's talk about the power of networking in career and business growth. Now, for all the listeners so we have a mix of listeners. Some of them are established entrepreneurs, some of them are just beginning to start about business or their startup. How would you explain to them what networking is and how can it be beneficial for you?
Yeah, well, networking to me is making connections
Hmm.
with folks for sure. And where there is mutual interest and collaboration that can happen. At a very early age or early on in my career, I definitely saw the benefits of networking.
Mhm.
I kind of mentioned I stayed in touch with my mentor, and that was very beneficial for me because she opened doors for me. She really did.
Mhm.
And throughout my career, always tried to maintain the connections I've made, whether it's within the organization I work with my clients, with my team. Um, it is a very small world.
Right.
And so you just never know. And I have so many stories where I'm separated by people by like 2 degrees. It's not even 6 degrees. Like we know someone in common. And
Right.
there is just, that just shows the power of networking. We're all kind of connected in the end. Mhm.
Wow. According to LinkedIn's global networking survey, 85% of professionals say that their network has helped them, aided them to land their dream jobs or opportunities or just grow their business. On top of your mind, do you have any example where, your network played a role in shaping your journey?
Oh, there's so many to choose from. I don't think I think all my opportunities were from my network. Actually, interesting. story. Since my first job after graduating, that was the only job that I got that I applied to. Everything else was referred to through
Hmm.
a network, whether it started off with a former classmate referred me or a mentor referred me, to old colleagues inquired if I was interested in opportunities in their organization. And that extended to as I launched my business off on my own. Um, because I have such a network in the industry, finding opportunities, I'm going to say, is not that challenging.
Right.
And I keep the network warm. And it's also a blend of personal and professional. I always want to, I have that genuine interest in what folks are doing, what they're discovering, what's new and innovative, but then also, what's going on with them personally.
Right.
And maintaining those connections has always kept doors open for me. Mhm.
You mentioned that apart from your first job, all the other ones were the referrals. For all the listeners, why do you think referrals work better than, just cold applying, I'd say?
Yeah, and I think it's even tougher now because with all of the automated like recruiting applications,
Yes.
it's how do you stand out? So
Right.
even back when I'm talking 20 years prior, that was my last, kind of application I got a job through. But all of the other ones have been through the network, as you mentioned, and that I think it's having that trusted
That personal connection.
representative, yeah, that
Yeah.
personal connection, someone who can vouch
Mm.
for you,
Right.
someone that endorses you, and that's why it's so important to maintain the network, but then also maintain, your work ethic and have that come through, and an application of your skill set in ways that are unique and make you stand out because people will then remember you, and
Right.
then that's how they think of you when there's opportunities down the line.
Right. You get into their subconscious memory, and
Mhm,
whenever your name pops up, that is where the mind goes back to.
mhm.
That's a great point. Many people think that networking is all about just collecting business cards, but it's not. It's about building meaningful relationships that, create opportunities for you. Now, for entrepreneurs and professionals who struggle with networking, it can feel, overwhelming, especially for someone who is an introvert, right?
Mhm.
What advice, Beena, would you like to give to all the listeners for someone who is not that good at, just going to people and saying, "Hi, how are you doing?" Not everyone is great at it.
Mhm.
What advice do you have for them?
And it's always interesting. You always think of networking as always meeting new people,
Yes.
and I kind of emphasize you need to maintain your network. So it's all also with familiar people,
Hmm.
and I think that just sustaining that kind of makes it easier than to meet new people too. If you keep kind of always in contact with folks, it doesn't become as daunting. But obviously, there are
Right.
situations in terms of meeting folks, new people, and I think it's always just finding that commonality with somebody that you meet. Um, and it could be something professionally, business wise, or it could be something
Personal,
personally.
yeah.
And it should be genuine. And sometimes it's not always, there's not that commonality. It's maybe of interest.
Right.
Maybe it goes somewhere, maybe it doesn't. But yeah, I think putting the pressure on networking that's supposed to result in an outcome makes it a lot more difficult. So I would say, just ease up on yourself, enjoy it,
Right.
try to learn something new from somebody, and don't put too much pressure on yourself.
That's great advice again. I think it's all about finding that comfort spot. And once you find that, you'll have that forever, right?
Hmm.
The relationship you build today will shape the opportunities you have tomorrow. Networking isn't just about meeting people, it's about adding value, creating trust, and building long term connections. Whether you're an entrepreneur or a professional, your network will always be one of your greatest assets. How do you see collaboration? Is it important? Is it a necessity? Because a lot of businesses nowadays have started questioning that just building their own brand reputation is something that they're working on rather than focusing on partnering with other brands.
Mhm.
What do you think collaboration in a business sense is, and how do you think it helps businesses maintain that credibility, I'd say?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think collaboration is, first off, very important,
Right.
especially in today's day and age. Um, I work in very complex systems, but I think everything is getting further complex with technology,
Right.
with just different channels. Like, the world is just getting more complex. And so I think with that, you need collaboration because you're not the expert in everything,
Hmm.
and understanding where you can leverage other people's strengths, skills, and experience is really important in this day and age. So I always have to collaborate. I always work in a team-based environment. We are kind of a unit. It's
Mhm.
not this kind of hierarchy. It's always like we all depend on each other for
Right.
something, and we kind of work like our own little
It's a mutual
system.
relationship, yeah.
Yeah, and I can't imagine working any other way, but in terms of the importance, I go back to, um, yeah, I do think there is strength in numbers and strengths by like, your team gets stronger when you have folks that have strengths from different areas as well. You cover a lot of bases. Mhm.
Definitely, you complement each other, I'd say,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Mhm.
Nice. Now, what do you think are some of the best practices for fostering collaboration and, as you mentioned, teamwork, especially in a business environment?
That's a good question. I think it's definitely communication.
Right.
And I know that that might seem obvious, obviously communication and collaboration together, but it is kind of knowing each other's styles
Right.
in terms of communicating, understanding each other's expectations. So I know in this day and age, maybe face to face is not as common as it used to be, but even just
Yeah.
having that either phone call
Right.
or virtual call, just to kind of have an understanding is always, I think, important. But then to continue that communication throughout too. So we have so many different channels of communication, email and chats and things like that, is just making sure that there is that continuous stream of communication and kind of like making it open, like that open door. So there is no hesitation to collaborate either. It's kind of just embedded in your regular workflow and process.
That's a great perspective.
Mhm.
So often, people focus on the individual success, but true progress comes when you take everyone with you and move forward, right? It's in collaboration and it lies in shared goals. Now, for small business owners and entrepreneurs, who may be used to working alone, teamwork and collaboration can sometimes come off as a challenge, especially, after COVID when people, got comfortable to this idea of just being alone and working alone.
Mm.
What do you think are some of the best practices for fostering uh, something that you truly believe in terms of maintaining the office culture?
Yeah, and I am kind of a solopreneur at times, and I think it is important to not maintain
Right.
that mode. Connect with other solopreneurs. I've been fortunate to be able to be part of like women's entrepreneurship
Yeah.
programs. I have colleagues that are in similar worlds as I am, and just having the space, and it doesn't have to be formal, to be able to talk about, everyday problems,
Right.
challenges. How would you go about doing this? Sharing experiences and learning from each other.
Mhm.
I think it's always beneficial to have those outlets and those relationships. And again, it doesn't need to be so focused on this is going to be the outcome of this conversation.
Right. Even if it doesn't, it's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like even with my other uh organization, with my business partner, weekly we would have a call for an hour with no agenda. And it was just because we were working in a virtual world and we just didn't have that time that you normally have to just catch up on each other.
Right.
And sometimes we would talk about personal stuff on that call, or sometimes it would be completely business, but it was just a space for us to share and kind of decompress sometimes too. And just have that, collaboration and discussion about anything with no pressure.
Definitely, great businesses, they are built on strong relationships, adaptability, and teamwork. Now, Beena, this has been such an insightful conversation so far. If you could give one key piece of advice to professionals and business owners navigating career growth and entrepreneurship, what would it be and why?
Yeah, I would say if you are very passionate about your business, keep at it. But figure out ways to work smarter.
Hmm.
Just being inundated with so much work, so much day to day, you might lose sight on the opportunities out there. So when I say work smarter, does it make sense to use, certain software tools to help automate things for you or make things more organized? Does it make sense to bring on resources? And it doesn't have to be full time and all that, or get help from folks so that you're freed up to kind of think more strategically or develop business relationships in the market. So definitely, I would think it could be very daunting having a business for sure. It could be a lot of pressure to make sure it's successful and it
Right.
grows. And there's a lot of pieces that need to go into it. If there's opportunity where you don't have to do everything on your own, definitely take advantage of the resources that you have available to you.
Wonderful advice again.
Mhm.
One last question that sprouting in my mind right now is, what do you think, Beena? What role does intuition play in determining whether this role is right for you, or you want to just change paths?
Well, that's an interesting question. Probably if you asked me this early on in my career, I would say it has nothing to do with it. It's all logical.
Right.
Looking back on my career and my current kind of career path, I do think that there is a role of intuition, and it probably played a role all along my career journey. Like I said, I feel like a lot of the opportunities that I had were kind of just brought to me, or there was kind of this
They were
set
served to you on a
path.
tray, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, not quite. I still had to work at it, but
Yes.
it just seemed too coincidental in
Right.
some situations. I never thought I was going to leave like the Canadian corporate firms, and I did over 6 years ago, and now I don't even look back, and I don't think. I mean, for now, I'm continuing on this entrepreneurial path. And so I'll say that I kind of always had that in the back of my mind. Maybe not early on my career, but midway that,
Mhm.
oh, one day maybe I'll do it. But I never thought I would have the guts to do it. But then when it happened, I'm like, yeah, this was like
Hmm.
meant to be.
Hmm.
Maybe I could have done it earlier, but you always say could have, should have, would have.
Right.
But it ended up happening in the end.
Wow. Now, one more question that's coming to my mind is, a lot of people, they are very hesitant towards shifting jobs. Now, mindset also plays a very big role. The question that I want to ask you is, before you started your entrepreneurial journey
hmm
and now where you're sitting, how different is the reality to the expectations that you make up in your mind before you start a business?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I didn't know what to expect.
Oh, so that's the best thing then,
I
right?
think
You did
so.
not set any bars or standards, so whatever came, you were content and you were happy with it, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think what became probably challenging was at times you are doing it all. You are doing the delivering, you're the client relationship
You're
management.
juggling so many
You're
hats,
so many, but then
right?
you have to make
Yeah.
sure like all your business infrastructures in place, your teams being supported. So that that wearing different hats almost at different minutes per day can get exhausting. And so probably what I learned from that is how to parse that out and organize that a little bit more, maybe not be, do everything at 100%. It's just going to modulate, at times when it's appropriate. Mm-hmm.
If Beena would have, been given a time machine, what is that one thing that you could, redo in your entrepreneurial journey before or during?
Oh, that's another good question. Yeah, and it's probably maybe advice I should take now. Like I said, I didn't know what to expect. I think there was a lot of winging it. I think, maybe having things a little bit more organized, like I said, so you're not overwhelmed altogether, and just kind of having like a plan that's broken down by all of the components that you're responsible for would be helpful. And it's probably something I should get in place now.
I don't want this conversation to end. I'm loving this, but due to time constraints, we'll have to do that. But Beena, thank you so much for being here and, gracing us with your presence. And thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
That was an insightful conversation with Beena Tharakan, founder of Crosspoly Solutions. We explored the power of career pivots, the importance of networking, and how collaboration fuels long-term business success. Beena's journey is a testament to the fact that success isn't always linear. It's about adapting, connecting, and seizing the right opportunities. A special thank you to our podcast partners, RBC, UPS, IHG Hotels and Resorts, and Google for their continued support in empowering Canadian entrepreneurs. To stay updated on the latest insights and conversations with industry leaders, visit CanadianSME.ca and subscribe to our podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode.